Welcome into BetOnline All Access. Drew Butler and Nick Baugh here. Nick, March Madness is in full effect. We are on to the Sweet 16, and wow, what a first weekend of action it was. Upsets everywhere. Expect the unexpected. They're inside the bubble in Indianapolis, and man, if you thought it was going to be what we've been used to, you were dead wrong. It was an exciting weekend of action. We are gearing up for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight coming up this weekend. So let's dive right into it, give you our picks of what to expect in the next weekend of action in March Madness. Here's where I'm going first, Nick. Oregon State against Loyola Chicago. Two underdogs who have made their way to the Sweet 16, and I'm looking at the total here. All right, the total at BetOnline right now, 125.5 points. That may seem pretty low. It opened at 126. It's moving towards the lower end of that number. I'd be really interested to see where it ends up. I'm going to go over. Oregon State is shooting absolute lights out right now. They have since they won the Pac-12 Conference Tournament title. And Loyola Chicago, look, Porter Moser said, head coach, before the tournament started, we are better than an 8 seed. He kind of made some statements that made a couple people upset. I don't think necessarily he was saying we shouldn't be playing Georgia Tech as a 9 seed. He may have been saying, watch out Illinois, the 1 seed, and that's exactly what happened. This Loyola Chicago team has experience making it to the Final Four just a couple of years ago. I think the way Oregon State is shooting right now, Loyola Chicago, how they can be efficient. Ken Palm has them as one of the most efficient teams in the nation. Nick, give me the over 125.5 points, Oregon State and Loyola Chicago.
I like that, Drew. I like that pick quite a bit. And if you're in the mood to talk overs and unders, I'm gonna be in that mood as well. So I'm gonna look at Creighton and Gonzaga. I look at that total. Right now it's sitting at 158.5 on BetOnline. These are two teams, Drew, that want to get up and down the floor, and they're both offensive minded. And if you look at Gonzaga, a lot of teams that take on Gonzaga, they want to slow it down. They don't want to get into a track meet. That's maybe not how they're built, or they're afraid to go toe-to-toe, basket for basket with Gonzaga. Well, the reality is Creighton's one of those teams that is built to play fast, shoot threes, and get up and down the floor. Creighton is not a team that wants to walk it up the floor, play in the half court. So as crazy as it sounds to go against the monster of Gonzaga and say, you're seriously going to try and run with them, that's what Creighton does. That's how they're built. They have the mantra around the program, let it fly. That is twofold. It means let it fly from three and let it fly in transition. And so I think you look at the shooters in this game. Marcus Zegarowski, Jalen Suggs, two of the best scoring point guards in the country. Corey Kispert, Mitch Ballock, two of the best shooting wings in the country. Christian Bishop, Drew Timmy, two of the best scoring forwards in the country. I absolutely love the over in this game. I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I think both teams want to get it up and down the court. Give me the over in Creighton Gonzaga at 158.5.
I love it. That is going to be an exciting matchup. You mentioned it. If you're not afraid to run with them, could put a lot of points on the board and make for an amazing matchup, Creighton and Gonzaga. You talk about fast-paced teams. You talk about teams that had a really impressive first round and second round. Nick, I think one of the teams that maybe is in the best shape right now, the Alabama Crimson Tide. If we're not talking about football, they had an unbelievable showing in the first and second rounds. They're taking on 11th seed UCLA in the Sweet 16. I'm going to lay the 5.5 points. Alabama a favorite right now at BetOnline. They are fast-paced. They're not afraid of anybody left in the Sweet 16 right now. Their defense is also playing lights out. I love the trio of Quinterly, Petty Jr., and Shackelford. These dudes can make it rain from the outside, and they are not afraid, as I mentioned. Lay the 5.5. Alabama covers against UCLA this weekend.
I love it. Javon Quinterly is playing outstanding at the point guard spot for Bama. That team is really, really performing at a high level. I'm going to look at Baylor and Villanova, and I really like laying the 6.5 points for the Baylor Bears. You look at Villanova, we all know about their point guard issue, Colin Gillespie, who is the co-Big East Player of the Year. He is out with a torn MCL. Drew, it's one thing to hang in there with the makeshift point guard situation against Winthrop in North Texas. It's a totally different beast when you're dealing with Baylor. I think their point guard issues really rear its ugly head this weekend. And here's the thing about Villanova, Drew. What they want to do is isolate you and attack you one-on-one. And if there's one team in the field that maybe has the best one-on-one defensive personnel, it's Baylor. I think Baylor's going to be able to switch a lot of those screens. They're going to be able to guard Jermaine Samuels, be able to guard Jeremiah Robinson Earl. They're going to be able to guard Justin Moore. And I think Baylor, because of how they're built defensively, is going to be able to stymie Villanova. I really think everybody was looking at Baylor a little bit concerned on how the Bears were faring as they were entering into the NCAA tournament. I thought they looked pretty darn good in that first weekend. Jared Butler, Mark Vital, Maceo Teague, all those guys starting to find their rhythm and groove. Give me Baylor -6.5 over Villanova.
Yeah, it's tough to argue with that. I mean, you mentioned Gonzaga and your over pick against Creighton, going to Baylor to cover against Villanova. Those two teams, Baylor and Gonzaga, are the cream of the crop. Will they continue that streak heading towards the Final Four national championship? We'll see, but I like that pick as well. Our last pick, one that I think you and I might be a little bit different on. When you look at what happened this past weekend, heading towards the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, you have to try to choose where the hot hand is and see if you want to ride it or tail it. Nick, I'm riding with the Syracuse Orange. I mean, my boy Buddy Boeheim is on absolute fire right now, averaging 27.5 points per game. More impressively, shooting 57% from three. They are a 6-point dog against Houston this weekend. I can't go against what's happening with this team. Coach Boeheim, his son Buddy, lots of energy around that Syracuse program. Give me the 6 points. We'll see what happens.
It's tough to argue with that, but I'm going to try to argue with it. I'm going to be on the other side. I'm going to lay the 6 points, and I'm going to go with Houston for two reasons. Houston, an outstanding offensive rebounding team. They have the second best offensive rebound percentage in the nation. They are athletic, and they are attacking the offensive glass. The one area that a 2-3 zone is most vulnerable, rebounding defensively. I think Houston's going to be able to really get on the offensive glass, get a lot of second chance points. And you referenced Buddy Boeheim and just the 3-point great shooting from Syracuse in that first weekend. They made 14 threes in the first round, 15 threes in the second round. Well, Houston has the 12th best 3-point percentage defense. So I think Houston's, for two reasons, going to be able to crash the offensive glass. They're going to be able to defend the 3-point line. Give me Houston -6 over Syracuse.
All right, I love it. A lot to expect this upcoming weekend. Going to be a ton of fun. Be sure to head on over to BetOnline to get all your action in for Sweet 16 and Elite 8. For Nick Baugh, I'm Drew Butler. We'll catch you next week.